Sometimes the most important matters of our times don't appear in news headlines. Or are they necessarily the subject of Sunday TV talk shows? They are the smaller, less popularly noticed things that, when linked together, they identify a troubling trend, maybe portend a gathering storm that's about to break, and take the unsuspecting by surprise. Even though the Israeli-Gaza war dominates the front pages of every national and international media outlet as it's being prosecuted, still it's already starting to be displaced with election politics, economic news, domestic social issues, sports. And what has gone on somewhat underreported, however, are the nearly unanimous and venomous criticisms against Israel by Eastern and Western nations, and the nearly unanimous support for the Palestinians to have their own state immediately, despite the Palestinian charter of their government declaring that peace is not their goal. Rather, the elimination of Israel is. Israel's legitimate concerns are again being kicked to the curb. Negotiation to establish the two-state solution has always been a failed strategy, but is once again being demanded by the U.S. and most of the nations of the UN. Now, many countries, such as Turkey, a Muslim nation, and Ireland, a Christian nation, have both spoken loudly. Israel has no right to self-defense because they ought not to exist in the first place. There is an exodus of Jews from all over Europe because the anti-Semitism there has reached levels of hatred and violence not seen in maybe 80 years. The USA's elite university presidents overseeing Harvard, MIT, Penn State, and others refused to call what Hamas did to Israel on October 7th, 2023 as attempted genocide. Nor will they speak against the anti-Semitic mobs of college students on their university grounds, or against the majority of their professors that are openly anti-Semitic. In fact, when cornered, these university presidents confess they stand with the Palestinians, Hamas, and against Israel. Now, there is no denying that the book of Revelation describes all nations on earth will at some point align against Israel and with the Muslim-controlled nations that surround Israel. They will join together. They will attack her at Megiddo, Armageddon. And it seems that such a possibility is, for the first time in world history, truly at hand. And please take note, the prophecy of Armageddon's only able to come to pass once Israel is reborn as a nation. And that happened a mere 75 years ago. But what if Israel flatly refuses to cooperate with the UN when it inevitably passes a resolution to create the state of Palestine? What if Israel will not give up the land that the UN says it must, because Israel views such a giveaway as a threat to its existence? What if the UN declares Jerusalem as Palestine's capital? Or perhaps that it is to be shared or geographically split between Israel and the coming state of Palestine. Folks, what I just stated is not only a possibility, it's the most likely outcome. Not in some distant future, perhaps any month now. Now, as a congregation and as individuals who believe God's word, who love the Lord, who stand with Israel and the Jewish people, what are we to do? With secularism and Marxist wokeism fully entrenched in the powerful governments of the West, the United States government controlled by it as well, it's clear that Israel advocates have little voice in the highest government echelons. The only remaining body that has any size or influence to affect any real change is the church. And the sad reality is a goodly part, perhaps the majority of churches, have swung over to the side of the Palestinians. Others are attempting to craft some kind of a balance or an even-handedness between supporting Israel and supporting the Palestinians. Now, I believe that there are three things that we can not only do, but we must do